I do think that sometimes people kind of discount how big a micro SaaS can be. You can create a very big company that is solely on Shopify or solely on other platforms too, but I'm gonna speak about the one that I know.
Do you see too risky to be tied into the success of that company?
So I think a concept that I really love is actually from MicroConf. I'm guessing you're familiar with their YouTube channel. And I think something they talk about a lot is how micro SaaS is, I don't fully agree with them, but they talk about how micro SaaS is this small option to start with. Like your first time startup, micro SaaS is so much easier than building a standalone platform of your own. So this is a really good way to get started. It has a lot of risks, like you mentioned, being tied into the platform, and it doesn't even have to be Shopify failing for us to lose our business. It could be that they decide to change something. They decide to do something that hurt our business in any way. So there are apps in the past that Shopify killed, that Shopify decided to do something that kind of killed the business, or even Facebook. There used to be a lot of Facebook marketing apps that do like Facebook Messenger DMs. That's not as easy anymore. So a lot of them kind of had to either change or die. So I get the risk. When you depend on someone else, you always have risk. But I do think that sometimes people kind of discount how big a micro SaaS can be. You can create a very big company that is solely on Shopify or solely on other platforms too, but I'm gonna speak about the one that I know. So as far as growing in size, if you have a really good product and you price it correctly and you give real value to your customers, you can grow a lot and you can create a very big business without ever stepping out of your ecosystem. As far as building something that is more sustainable long-term, I do think that being tied down to an ecosystem is a huge risk. You never know what's going to happen. It can bring with it a lot of changes that are out of your control. Even just like, the Shopify app market has reviews and merchants write reviews, and we do our best to give them the best experience ever, but sometimes they extort, like some merchants could extort you by threatening a bad review if you don't refund them, even though you charge them, correctly and everything. There's a lot of cases like that too. So you really have a lot of factors that put your business at risk. I think the ideal product is something that can start off as a micro SaaS and then later on become its own standalone product. If you can build something that has a very simple integration into Shopify, for example, and then you build it on Shopify, you get enough resources, you get enough traction, now you have the money to hire a bigger team, and now you can start building integrations to other platforms, and slowly you grow and grow and grow until you're not dependent anymore on Shopify or on any other ecosystem that you started off on. I do think that's the perfect business model to start with. But again, going back to MicroConf, which I mentioned before, I agree with them that this is a very good starter type of business, doing a micro SaaS instead of trying to solve a solution that is very wide. A micro SaaS kind of narrows you down, gives you something that is easier to develop. And if you do a good job and you treat it as a business and not as like, let me just do something and put it out there and see what's going to happen, but actually do product development correctly and market it and everything, then you can start your first business for much cheaper than you would if it was a standalone.